Allô, oui, bonsoir. Jodi a, nous allons parler de these. Yes, we're going to be talking about voodoo dolls. I absolutely love voodoo dolls, okay? I think these are the cutest things. I said that they were cute in one of my most recent videos, and I know you guys are probably looking at me like, I know your ass did not really fuck around and go get a voodoo doll. Yes, I really did go fuck around and get a voodoo doll. I got this specifically from New Orleans. And to be quite honest with you, I think it's so adorable. I actually got one for one of my friends. She's a witch. I have 3, so I have an extra one. I specifically kept the red one just in case anyone wants to fuck with me. And it matches my house decor, to be quite honest with you. Honestly, one of the main reasons I was so happy to go to New Orleans, because I went to New Orleans for a bachelorette trip, was so I could get a voodoo doll. Like, I'm so serious. Like, I really think these things are just like adorbs, okay? Now, most of you guys may know voodoo dolls as puppets, and these things are used for many things, okay? Now, most people know voodoo dolls as demonic, horrible, bad luck. You shouldn't even be playing with these things. They're not great things to have in your household or even in your possession. However, we're going to clear all that up by the end of this video. So before we even get into that, if you guys are not aware, this is the beginning of 12 Days of Halloween 2023. So make sure you guys are tapped in, you are subscribed, because I have so many great videos planned out for you guys. And today is the relaunch of my merchandise store. So there's plenty of QA's merchandise that you guys will love, okay? I redid my Haitian King and Haitian Queen merchandise. So there's 2 different designs for you guys to choose from. I also have plenty of other designs for you guys. I really hope you guys enjoy the store. I worked so hard on these designs. I also have new merchandise for my main channel as well. So make sure you guys go check on it. I'm only going to be dropping videos on the weekdays, not on the weekends leading up to Halloween. And I really do hope you guys enjoy the content. Also, my single is finally going to be released. It will be a compa single on Black Friday of this year. So mark your calendars because it's finna be lit. So let's get into the voodoo dolls, all right? Now, when it comes to voodoo dolls, these are used for so many things. Contrary to popular belief of people thinking that voodoo dolls are just used to hex people, a lot of times they are used for love, dominance, power, protection, luck, and finances. It's not really fair to say that people just use these things to kill people, for vengeance, and things like that. However, there are a lot of people who do so. Now, when you get a proper voodoo doll, there are very specific components of them that I'm going to get into a little bit later. But just looking at this one specifically, most of the time they are specifically made to look very human-like. They're supposed to look very akin to us or very akin to whoever you want it to look like, depending on what you're using it for. And again, I'm going to get into that later, but usually they have pins in them. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but this one has a black and a white pin. The white pin is supposed to be for good luck. The black pin is supposed to be for bad luck. And specifically, like, say if you were using this for a love spell, you are supposed to make this look like the person that you are in love with, right? And then say if you were trying to heal someone, if the person was sick, you would also make the doll look like them. But then in that case, you really wouldn't use pins for real. You would kind of put different medical or healing properties on the doll to make them better, which again, we'll get into later. Another reason a lot of people use voodoo dolls or puppets is for uncrossings, which is undoing hexes, which is honestly the main reason I bought this, because I kid y'all not, I've been having such a large string of bad things happening to me that I just thought somebody hexed my ass. But I just had to go get a cleansing and realize there wasn't really anything going on to me. It was just due to me not following my calling, which I did talk about in one of my previous videos. So what exactly is a voodoo doll or a puppet? A voodoo doll or a puppet is a small figure usually used in magic or in spells, often resembling a human. And it's often used in so many different capacities. However, the way or the reasons it is used definitely varies in whatever practice it is used in. But a lot of the time, you're going to see it used in Haitian voodoo, Louisiana voodoo, or Santeria. There are other practices that you may see it used, like in certain other West African practices. However, not as often, especially now in modern day spiritualism. Okay, so most of the time now you'll only really see these in like healing practices, because when it comes to like the voodoo doll thing, it's been like really, really demonized. And like the whole idea of people even seeing a voodoo doll, a lot of people get freaked out, or a lot of times people just see these as little toys. So it really just depends on the culture. It really depends on the religion. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. Whatever it is that you practice, where or how do you see these used? Because it really does vary. So when it comes to Haitian voodoo, a lot of the times, if you do see these used by a specific Ogon, a Mumbo, or Bokor, you will usually see them used in healing practices, right? So most of the time you will see an Oga or a Mumbo or Bokor use this to heal someone that is gravely sick. So I had an aunt, okay, this is usually the aunt that I talk about that I hate, which again, I don't know if I'll ever make videos about this lady, but essentially she was very, very sick back in the day, to the point where she was like literally on her deathbed. And essentially they used a voodoo doll to make her better. Now, when it comes to being sick, especially when it comes to being sick because someone like hexed you type of sick, there's absolutely nothing that anyone can do for you unless, you know, you lift whatever hex has been sent on you. But it really depends, because sometimes, like, if it's like a generational curse, or it's like something's been sent on you because you did something like karma, or, you know, there's a lot of things that go into that. Realistically, sometimes you just die. Like, there's really, that sounds so bad, but like, yeah, there's a lot of times there's nothing you really do. But in many cases, you can use a voodoo doll to nurse someone back to health. So in many cases, they will take a voodoo doll and they will put different healing properties on the doll to represent the person, and the person will slowly get back together. Now, it does take a lot longer with this as to just, you know, doing it directly on the person. But to be honest, it's kind of harder. Like, let's be real. The Ogon or the Mumbo or whatever is going to charge you lots of money to just have this person like in their house or in their whatever, just laying there. Like, imagine like, oh my God, my mom, my aunt, my sister, my brother, whatever is sick. And they're like, okay, yeah, I can make them better, but they're going to have to stay here for like 2 months. Like, so it's just easier. Just have this doll, throw them in some holy water. Let me stop. Not holy water, because that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. That's like kind of one way to get rid of one of these. But anyways, it's easier to like put oil or herbs or whatever types of healing properties on this to heal the person than to just have them sitting in your temple or your house or your worshiping grounds for 2 to 3 months to help them get better. So a lot of times in Haitian voodoo in particular, they have these around to specifically heal people. Now, when we're talking about hoodoo, that's where we talk about, you know, the hexing, the uncrossings, but of course, financial gains, the dominance, the luck, and stuff like that. In hoodoo, you see voodoo dolls used a lot, okay? They are honestly probably where these dolls were really popularized, specifically because of how these got brought over. It is said by historians that voodoo dolls were probably brought to the Americas, most likely by the slaves, of course, from West Africa. And of course, they brought their traditions that were later on merged with the Catholic religions. And, you know, we all know how that goes. We don't even need to go through that again. I've talked about that numerous times. But voodoo dolls were mostly used to bring prosperity to the slaves, bring them hope, and honestly kind of maim the masters that were doing fuck shit to them, okay? And, you know, the common consensus is, of course, you know, you move the doll left, the person goes left. You move them right, they go right. But let's be fucking real, right? That's not essentially how it works. Like, it is, but it's not. Like, it's very... okay, it's very, okay, like when it comes to like hexing someone with a puppet or whatever, it's not necessarily exactly how they say it is, especially if it's not like a working doll. Like, it's a lot more complicated than a lot of people say it is. So when it comes to doing a voodoo doll for power, domination, luck, or finance. Essentially, you're basically doing it for yourself, right? Some people carry these around for good luck, put them in their doorways to protect their house, while a lot of people give them to people for protection. Like literally, I gave my friend this just because, like, again, she's a witch and she kind of dibbles and dabbles in everything. And she also is very respectful about other people's religions and things. And honestly, one of my ancestors popped up to her and has been guarding her ever since. Like literally, she was like, yo, why did one of your ancestors pop up with the doll, talk about some she's guarding the doll? And okay. I was like, oh, I would have never thought. She was like, yeah. She just stands at my altar now. I was like, so a lot of times these things offer legitimate protection. It's not always an evil thing. It's not always a situation where, oh my God, you have this in your house, it's going to bring about evil. Usually if you are in possession of one of these things, it can genuinely help you. When it comes to luck and finances, a lot of people, especially in the law field, the health field, or just anyone that's in a field where the cards may be stacked against them, they use these to really help their odds, right? So like imagine, say if you're in a situation where you have lots of cases, right? Where like, okay, you're defending someone where like, damn, they have no chance at winning. And like they should win because it would be fucked up if they didn't. They should win because clearly they're in the right and the other person's in the wrong, but that person has so much money, so much influence. That person has a way better lawyer. That person might seek the guidance of Olga, a Mumbo, etc., up the ante of them winning that case. Now, is that necessarily a bad thing? No. Are they giving kind of an unfair advantage because they have a voodoo doll? Yeah, but at the same time, the person that they're in this case against with is given an unfair advantage because they have money, they have status, they have power, and they probably shouldn't even be winning because at the end of the day, they're in the wrong. But since they have more power, they're going to win anyway. Lots of reasons why people seek the power of voodoo dolls. Now, just like any type of magic, y'all, right? These things can backfire so bad on you, okay? When it comes to magic, right? When it comes to spirituality, all of this is supposed to balance the earth. It's not supposed to give you an unfair advantage. Like I just mentioned to you guys, right? In terms of a lawyer or someone in the medical field seeking out one of these to actually help someone balance the scales, you should never use one of these to basically get something that you want out of selfishness. That goes into love spells, ladies and gentlemen. According to Jerry Gandolfo, hopefully I'm saying that right, the curator and creator, the New Orleans Historic Voodoo Museum, over 90% of voodoo dolls are used in love spells, bro. 90% of these are used for love spells. I do not recommend y'all doing love spells. I wanted to do a whole video on love spells, but I was going to just like save that for Valentine's Day because I felt like it was more appropriate. But understand, love spells are very dangerous. Like I've heard and seen some of the craziest things happen with love spells because if someone's not meant to be with you, it will backfire. Okay. Some things are very innocent, right? You may do a love spell just to strengthen your marriage, make sure you guys are together forever, make sure that your husband or your wife are never cheating, right? That's a little innocent, I guess. But then there's some love spells where it's like, oh, he or she doesn't want me. I'm going to make sure that they never find happiness. I'm going to make sure he or she never has a baby. I'm going to make sure the person that they're with now or the person that they want to be with is never with them. That's some sinister, crazy, batshit, ridiculous shit. If you're going to do something like that, just know it will backfire on you. And like I said, I seen, heard some crazy shit regarding that. So if you're going to do something like that, understand it is never going to go well for you. All right. Like that is not something that you should be using voodoo dolls or any type of magic for, because at the end of the day, eventually that person is going to find out and they're going to send that shit right back to you, because these things can also be used for uncrossings, and uncrossing of love spells is part of that list of uncrossings. When it comes to luck and finances, lots of people have problems with keeping their money, saving their money, making money, etc. So plenty of times people use these to just have good luck, keep them in their pockets, essentially put different herbs and keep these things near certain crystals to accentuate the prayers of these. But lots of times people who gamble use voodoo dolls a lot in their gambling journeys. When it comes to uncrossings, these things could be extremely powerful, but you gotta be very careful, only because these things don't destroy a curse, they send it back. So if you don't know who sent whatever after you, and it happens to be somebody close to you, you could be treading some very murky waters. Because imagine if it's like your best friend or a sibling that sent something after you, and now all of a sudden, I don't know, your cousin, your best friend, your brother, your sister dies because they sent something after your ass. It's like, ooh, well, sucks for them. They shouldn't be sending something after you, right? But at the same time, you gotta be very careful. These will not destroy a curse, they will send it back. Okay, they will send it right back. Okay, you gotta be like, okay, do I really want this person to be hurt? Okay, like in consideration that this person might be someone that I know, do I want them to be hurt? But at the same time, for me, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't give a fuck. You send something after me, I'm gonna send it after you. I fight fire with fire. You go low, I go to hell. So, I mean, you gotta understand where you're going. Do you want to play limbo, or do you want to live with a hex? But remember, there are other ways to get rid of hexes. Now, when it comes to the development in the history, it is believed that the Fon people of Benin were the original people that came up with voodoo dolls. However, there are conflicting stories to this, right? Now, there are also accounts of people in Europe having similar histories of voodoo dolls, such as in European folk magic. Now, there's a lot of people that believe that European white people had no culture. I don't believe that. I believe white Americans don't have much of a culture besides Starbucks, but no, white Europeans in legitimate Europe actually had a culture before the Crusaders and all of this extra shit came slaughtering them to believe in God and the Bible and all of this crazy shit. But they actually had a legitimate culture, and a lot of it had to do with folk magic and believing in Freya and Odin and stuff like that. You guys should really look into it. It's very, very interesting stuff. And it's very unfortunate that a lot of them were forced to give up their gods or have their heads cut off if they didn't believe in Jesus and stuff like that. However, that's neither here or there, but they also did believe in puppets and used them to harm others. Native Americans also had their own versions of voodoo dolls as well. The Native American people actually use these a little bit differently from everyone else. Now, while everyone else kind of uses this for good luck, to empower one another, you know, to protect their households, and basically make these look like people, the Native American people make these look like people or animals, and most of the time use these to ward off evil spirits, which is very, very interesting. So no one really knows where exactly these came from. However, when it comes to North America, it is believed that the Fon people brought these over from Africa. These popped up all over the place. So comment down below, did your culture have something similar to puppets? Because there have been different accounts of different versions of voodoo dolls popping up all over the world. Now, of course, like I said before, it's important to remember that voodoo dolls are not inherently evil, okay? It really depends on how you use these, and most importantly, where exactly you get these from and what your intention is with these. A lot of people think that if you just get them from a novelty store, or if you just get them from the street, or whatever the case may be, they aren't real, or whatever the case may be. But to be honest, a lot of it has to do with the intent of it, as well as where exactly you're putting it, what exactly you do with it. That's what I've always been told. But of course, we all know like what a fake voodoo doll is. I actually did a whole video about fake voodoo dolls a while ago, but I don't even think it was like really covering what fake voodoo dolls was. It was just like a video about somebody that wrote to me about buying like this voodoo puppet that was supposed to like give him like rich family fortune or whatever the case may be. And I was like, do not buy that shit. I think it was like $25 and it was promising that he would get like $1 million child. It's ridiculous. Like, you have to be very careful with those things, because at the end of the day, like, there's nothing that's going to promise you fortune, okay? And that brings me to my next point. These things do not always work, okay? I'm telling you right now. This could be subjective, right? Depending on where you buy this, it could be fake. But at the same time, a lot of it has to do with the intention. But a lot of times there are people that weed really bad things in these things and have really bad intentions and make sure that whoever buys whatever it is will befall to bad luck. So a lot of times when you see these poppets for $5, $10, $15, $20, $30, a lot of times they might be fake. Unless you get them from a legitimate person, a legitimate source, whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that everything that you see at a novelty store is going to be fake, because that's not true. Some of them are actually legitimate. I'm not saying that all the ones that you find at a legit like witch store or like at a spiritual store is going to be real, because that's not true either. And some of them that may be real may actually be voodoo dolls that are laced with things that are not protected. So you got to be very careful. That's why I always tell like people, like, be very careful where you get your spiritual things from, because a lot of times people are trying to mislead you. They're trying to hurt you. They're trying to do things to you and you don't even know. Like, you don't even know it. So be very careful exactly where you get these things from. You do not want to just buy crystals from anywhere. You don't want to get your tarot from anywhere. You don't want to just get voodoo dolls from anywhere. You don't want to get your cauldrons from anywhere. You want to be very, very careful. Now, although most of the time used for healing or protection, like I basically told you guys, these things have been demonized, okay? The fact that I even have one of these in my house, I know there's a lot of people that personally know me are probably terrified and they're like, oh my God, how the fuck do you have one of these in your house? I'm not coming to your house. Oh my God, please fucking don't, because I don't invite most of you guys to my house any fucking way. But anyhow, to be honest, these things have been demonized because of Hollywood, okay? The stupid ass movies, the ridiculous books, and most importantly, the ignorant ass soldiers and unwanted people that have came to Haiti, went to Africa, and went to all these other South American countries unwanted, okay? And seen the culture, seen spiritual ceremonies and thought, oh my God, these niggaboos are doing all these crazy things and look, there's poppets, and went back home to write about them. This is just so ignorant and it's so unfortunate, because at the end of the day, if we really wanted to harm people or were able to just, you know, go around snapping necks with voodoo dolls, don't you think all of y'all motherfuckers that wrote these things would have been dead? Exactly. Hence why a lot of you journalists and authors and movie producers that hit me in my email asking me for insight on things that you guys are writing never get responses from me. I will never sell out my people. I will never sell out my culture. Suck your mother, get my renu, okay? I'm not saying shit. Whatever you guys get from my video is whatever you guys are gonna get from my video, but I'm not selling anything. Even though these things look silly to a lot of you guys, voodoo dolls, the voodoo culture, and spirituality as a whole in most cultures is extremely important, okay? Even in white cultures. Hence why I would never ever sell any of it to anyone. It is extremely important that we protect these cultures. These things are sacred and sadly have been whitewashed. And I'm not even talking about white people. I guess I mean Hollywoodized. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? It's been watered down, okay? It's been watered down to be digestible for people who want to just make a quick buck out of it, okay? People have sat here for years of villainizing and making these things digestible for the masses. And I find it repulsive, disturbing, and ridiculous. It is not okay by any means that people have taken voodoo dolls and everything else in the spiritual realm, weaponized it as this demonized practice, okay? People have literally had their lives saved by this little thing that a lot of you guys are calling demonic, or that a lot of you guys think is a toy. These things are not toys. These things are used in healings. They're used in very powerful rituals, and they should be seen as such. Very powerful tools. Most of you guys are probably looking at this like, how does one make this? What is it made of? Like, how? So this one is made of straw, stone, and feathers, and has moss in the middle. Now, that is one of the things that actually makes an authentic doll, and that's why I said, for the most part, that's why I'm like, you can't necessarily say if you get it from a novelty store, it's not necessarily real, because what really characterizes it being real is the moss in the middle. But then again, it's the intention and what you do with it, and then the magic behind it. It's a lot of shit. Like, so realistically, it can be made of different things. This one is made of different shit. So the hair is feathers, the head is stone, And then you also have the body made of straw and the moss is in the middle, right? And this one has the needles, okay, in it. But I'm not even gonna lie, I kind of did a return to sender thing, and this shit is like hard as hell now. So, I mean, I know whatever I did worked. So sucks for whoever. We'll see what happens to whoever. I think what I be doing works these days. As y'all know, I'm finally stepping into my spirituality. I don't know what I'm doing, but I think I'm doing something. I did my first reading, by the way, guys. You guys should be so proud of me. I did my first reading, and I think it worked. Oh, but anyways. But they can also be made of so many other things, right? Fabric, wood, clay, wax even. There's paper voodoo dolls. Like, they could be made of, honestly, any element of the earth. Some people even sew them. That is what a lot of poppets are made of. Like, in particular, like, there's a lot of voodoo dolls that you will see that are literally, like, sewn together little dolls. So there's no really right or wrong way to make them. A lot of it has to do with what you have around you in your environment. However, in order to make it a working voodoo doll, you are to specifically put something on the doll that represents the person, or depending on how powerful you are, or the intention behind it, you are supposed to honestly have essence of the person behind the doll. So in most cases, you could really just be like, I want this person to this, I want this person to that, whatever, return to sender this, da da da. But again, I ain't gonna go into that because I don't want y'all out here doing stuff. But there's a lot that goes into it, right? So a working doll versus a non-working doll is two different things. You can honestly just get one of these and hold it around for bad luck. Put this at your door, protect your home, call it a day. You don't really need to make it like an active working doll. You can also put the person's name on it. Say if you don't have their hair or you don't have any essence of the person, you can do so many different things. Putting their name on it, you can make the doll look like them. Like in this case, this one's already painted, right? So I don't know how I would put someone's face on here, but putting their name is fine. You can also put their birthday. Symbols also work. Photographs is also something that really works well. When it comes to love spells, lots of people do lots of kinds of things, okay? I'm talking about hair, spices, perfume, you name it, they do it, okay? They customize the hell out of these things. Y'all, I've seen it all. Like, people have gone as far as to put blood on these things, okay? So if you ever see a voodoo doll and it's not yours, all I gotta say is don't touch it, okay? Because you don't know. This one is not an active working one. It's just chilling. But you should always put this like in a clear space, like at your altar. You don't just leave this laying around like on your desk. You do not just leave this on your stove. You put this at your altar, possibly near some crystals to amplify the doll itself. And when it comes to filling the doll, it should always be filled with some sort of moss. Spanish moss is usually what is in the doll. Some mix of herbs is usually in the doll as well, but it really depends on your practice and again the purpose. The better the mix in here, the more powerful the doll. When it comes to binding the doll, you should always bind the doll with your own hair or some twine, but usually your own hair works very well. If you have locks like me, some twine, I guess, but usually that works very well. So yeah, in short, these things are very powerful. They're not to be fucked with. Please do not go around getting these dolls and thinking they're a joke. Please do not go and get these dolls and think for 1 second. I had to look at the bottom of this because I was like, what just pricked me? But yeah, please do not go and get these dolls and think, oh, I'm going to make blah, blah, blah fall in love with me, or oh, I'm going to make sure blah, blah, blah breaks up with him or her, and think that nothing bad is going to happen to you. I promise you, bad things are going to happen to you if you go and you try to use these things for nefarious things. These are not toys, okay? At the end of the day, these are very powerful spiritual toys, and they are to be respected. And most importantly, these are really part of our history, and people should definitely learn more about them. I absolutely love these things. I think they're so freaking cute. And yeah, I keep mine at my altar, you know, just in case somebody decides to fuck around and find out. Let me know if anybody uses this in your culture, if you've ever used a voodoo doll, what you think about voodoo dolls, or if you happen to have a poppet. And yeah, I love you guys so very much. I can't wait to drop another video for you guys. Thank you guys so much in advance for supporting the merch shop. For more support, please go support the Patreon. God, see no pass Patreon, sign up fit. I love you guys so very much. And yeah, like, share, subscribe, do all that. We here with it locked in for 12 days till Halloween. Bye, y'all.